What is going on, everybody? Today is a very big day. I'm going to be revealing to you my next cafe racer build project. Now, if you're on this channel, you've probably already seen my 1982 Honda XL 100S build series that I've been doing. Haven't quite finished that up yet, but parts are coming in. I hope you enjoyed that last build series, and if you're a true OG gangster, you would have seen this bike in a couple of those videos. So you might not be surprised at all. And for all of you who have already seen this bike, I appreciate you. A little bit of a backstory of this bike. I always keep up on Craigslist. I'm that kind of guy who's always trying to get those deals. So I saw this bike on Craigslist and I thought I'd go check it out. It was literally 2 miles down the road from me, and in this huge countryside, 2 miles is like next door. So I went on over there. I picked this bad boy up. So at this point, you're probably just like, show us what it is, then you can talk about it. I'm like, all right, I think I should just show you what it is. It's gonna be a very big surprise. You will not be expecting this at all. Oh shoot, that did not go as expected. My friends, you are looking at a 1980 Honda CX500 Custom. This is a bad boy straight out of the 80s when all those pop stars were getting famous. Now, the CX500 is kind of a debated topic when it comes to cafe builds because the frame is a very odd design. Honda had started this frame design, I think, in '78, and they only continued this bike to '82. So this is one of those builds that you don't really see too many of. It was only in production for 4 years. So you're probably wondering how much I got the bike for. They had it listed for $900. Kelley Blue Book value was at $875. So they were $25 above Blue Book value, but who doesn't do that on Craigslist? Let's be real. I ended up getting this bike for $580, which is almost, well, you know, that's $320 less than they wanted. And it's like $300 less than Blue Book value. I honestly wasn't expecting that much out of it because they had overpriced just a little bit. I was assuming there were those people who were just like, you know, I'll take Blue Book value and that's the lowest I'll go. So I was kind of, you know, whatever, if I don't get it, whatever, that's fine. Clearly the bike needed a little bit of maintenance. So what I did is I just compiled a list of all the things that I would need to replace on the bike to get it up to that good Blue Book value. And then I took the total cost of those items and subtracted it from the Blue Book value to get $580. And so that was my final offer to them. And they did accept it, so I was pretty happy. So as I mentioned before, this is a pretty debated cafe project build because the frame is kind of interesting. It kind of goes back like this and swoops around, kind of like that. It's not a real traditional frame style, but on the other side of that, most people think it's extremely unique. The frame actually makes the bike into one of the greatest cafe projects ever just because it's so interesting. I'm leaning towards it is an interesting build, so I don't think it looks too weird, and I think it does give it some character. But the thing that really makes this specific bike unique is the cylinder heads are actually spread out to the side. So if you're looking at it from behind, you see the bike, you see the tank swooping up, and you see the 2 cylinder heads out to the side like that. So I think this bike is actually one of the coolest looking bikes, at least from behind, just because it's just so different. You don't see 2 cylinder heads sticking out the side of any engine. Another very interesting feature about this bike is it's liquid cooled. When this bike was created, there weren't too many bikes that were being liquid cooled yet. And this is one of the models that had liquid cooling on it, which is awesome because it doesn't overheat when you're sitting at lights anymore. Okay, it still does, but not as quickly. But more about this specific bike. Shut up, Conan. But more about this specific bike. The promising thing that had me actually buy it was there were no leaks at all. The levels on all of the liquids in the bike were good, so clearly it had been maintained. There's just over 40,000 miles on this bike, so it's not high mileage, but it's not low mileage per se. It is more of a cruiser bike, so I'm not too concerned about the mileage. This bike is shaft driven, so there's no drive chain. So that's kind of cool, and I think it makes the bike even more interesting. I did get it at a really good price, partly because the previous owner did drop it. So there are some things you can tell that the turn signal here is kind of bent. There's no structural damage. The valve cover does have a scrape on it. The foot peg is a little bit bent from the drop. But really, I'm not too concerned. It's all cosmetic, and I have everything that I need to replace already in my possession, so I can replace it really quick. There are a couple things I already changed about the bike. I already took the stock handlebars off it. They were on it before. I just hated them. They were just like cruiser bars, and I don't know, it just doesn't get me. So I already changed that. I kind of took a couple things off already, just checking things out, making sure everything's good, but nothing too major, of course. But yeah, so this is the bike. You can kind of tell it's a little bit greasy and whatever, but no leaks. So all I really need to do is clean it up really nice. And this bike's gonna be a really sharp looking bike. To be honest, most people that I showed this bike to were kind of skeptical about it. They're like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. I can't wait for you to build that. That's gonna be so awesome. But I was just like, hey, everybody's skeptical about something that's not their own. It's a redemption project, okay? It's got some rough areas, I'll give it that. I'm gonna bring it back, just like I brought that other one back from the dead. And we're gonna do this thing. I'm gonna build this thing up to be a bad boy. And I got it for a pretty good price, so I'm not gonna complain. But yeah, I'm super excited for this build. It's gonna be super awesome, especially this specific model of bike. I think it's gonna be a really unique one to ride around in the Fresno area. I'm not sure if there's that many people building cafe bikes in this area, but I don't know. I haven't seen them online. So yeah, I think it should be a good time. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. So until next time, I will see you in the next video.